Maya Richardson's small hands pressed against cold metal. The police cruiser's hood burned her cheek. 8 years old, and she couldn't breathe. Officer Hutchkins' knee dug into her spine while neighbors filmed from porches. Her mother had taught her to stay calm during encounters like this, but Mama never said it would happen while walking home from school, never said a badge could feel like a weapon. What Mia didn't know yet was that this afternoon would destroy one man's career and expose a conspiracy reaching the highest levels of law enforcement. Maya Richardson had left Hillrest Elementary 4 hours earlier with her first-place robotics trophy clutched in both hands. The golden figure stood 8 inches tall, a robot mid-stride on a marble base, and beneath it, an engraved plate read, Maya Richardson, First Place Regional STEM Competition. She had beaten 32 other students, most of them older, most of them certain a third grader couldn't possibly understand advanced programming. But Maya had understood perfectly. She had built a robot that could navigate obstacles, recognize colors, and respond to voice commands. Her teacher, Mrs. Patterson, had hugged her so tight Maya thought her ribs might crack. Her classmates had cheered. And now, walking home through the tree-lined streets of Hillrest, Virginia, Maya imagined her mother's face when she saw the trophy. Hillrest was the kind of suburb people pointed to in magazines about successful living. Manicured lawns stretched like green carpets between colonial-style homes with 3 wraparound porches and 3-car garages. Mercedes and BMW sedans sat in driveways. Children rode expensive bicycles with streamers and bells. It was 3:15 on a Tuesday afternoon, and the neighborhood drowsed in late spring sunshine. The Richardson family had moved here 8 months ago, one of only 3 Black families in a community of 200 homes. Maya's father, Marcus, was a senior partner at a downtown law firm. Her mother was someone important in the government, though Mia didn't fully understand what the Secret Service did beyond what she had seen in movies. What Mia did understand was that Hillrest was supposed to be safe. That morning, Victoria Richardson had stood in a classified briefing room at Secret Service headquarters 12 miles away in downtown Washington. As special agent in charge, she commanded the Presidential Protection Detail, coordinated security for foreign dignitaries, and oversaw 300 agents across 6 field offices. At 39 years old, she was the youngest person and the first Black woman to hold the position. That morning's briefing had covered threats to an upcoming G7 summit, and Victoria had listened to intelligence reports with the focused intensity that had defined her 20-year career. She had asked sharp questions, identified gaps in perimeter security, and restructured the advanced team assignments. Her colleagues respected her. Some feared her. All trusted her judgment completely. She had left the briefing thinking about staffing rotations and transportation logistics. She had not been thinking about her daughter walking home from school. Maya stopped on Maple Avenue to tie her shoe 3 blocks from home. The robotics trophy stuck up from her pink backpack, its metallic sheen catching the light. She hummed while she worked the laces into a double knot the way her father had taught her. She didn't notice the police cruiser slowing 2 houses down. Officer Derek Hutchkins had been patrolling Hillrest for 15 years. At 42, with a thick neck and a permanent scowl, he considered himself the neighborhood's guardian. He had grown up in Hillrest, back when it was middle class and all white, before tech money and diversity initiatives changed things. He resented the changes. He especially resented the new families moving in, the ones who didn't belong, the ones who threatened property values and neighborhood character. That afternoon, he saw Maya and felt his jaw tighten. Another one, he thought. He grabbed his radio and invented a call. "Dispatch, I've got a suspicious person on Maple Avenue near the intersection with Oak. Possible match for the burglary suspect." There had been no burglary. There was no suspect. But Hutchkins needed justification, and he had learned over the years that suspicious activity covered a multitude of situations. Maya stood up, adjusted her backpack, and continued walking. She was thinking about her mother's smile, about celebrating with ice cream, about showing the trophy to her father. She didn't hear the cruiser accelerate behind her. She didn't see Hutchkins' face as he pulled alongside. Then his voice cracked through the quiet afternoon. "You stop right there. Put your hands up where I can see them." Maya froze. She turned and saw the police car, saw the officer leaning out his window, saw his hand resting on his belt near his gun. Her mother had prepared her for this moment, had sat her down after they moved to Hillrest, and explained carefully. If a police officer stops you, be polite. Keep your hands visible. Don't make sudden movements. Do what they say. But her mother never explained the fear, the way Maya's heart would slam against her ribs, the way her throat would close. "I said, hands up," Hutchkins barked. Maya raised her hands, trembling. The backpack slipped down her shoulders, and the robotics trophy became fully visible, its golden figure unmistakable in the sunlight. Hutchkins saw it clearly, saw that it was a trophy, not a weapon, not anything dangerous. A logical person would have apologized, would have recognized the mistake and waved the child along, but Hutchkins had committed to the stop, and admitting error felt like weakness. He exited his cruiser and approached Maya with aggressive strides. "Take off the backpack." Slowly, Maya complied, her hands shaking so badly she nearly dropped it. The trophy clinked against the pavement as she lowered the bag. "That's my robotics trophy," she said quietly. "I won first place." "I don't remember asking you to speak," Hutchkins snapped. "You were reaching suspiciously." "But I was just—" Maya started. "Don't talk back to me," Hutchkins said, his voice rising. His hand shot out and grabbed her arm above the elbow, his fingers digging into her thin bicep. The pain was sharp and surprising, and Maya instinctively pulled away. That pull, that natural flinch from pain, became Hutchkins' justification. "Resisting," he announced loudly, as if speaking to witnesses. "You're resisting." In one brutal motion, he spun the 8-year-old girl around and slammed her forward against the hood of his cruiser. Maya's cheek struck metal, and stars exploded across her vision. She couldn't breathe, couldn't process what was happening. Hutchkins's knee pressed into her spine, pinning her, and she felt handcuffs close around her wrists, cold metal biting into skin. "Mommy," she sobbed. "I want my mommy." Across the street, Patricia Chen stepped onto her porch. She had been watering plants when she heard the commotion. Now she stood frozen, watching a grown man restrain a child. Her hand trembled as she pulled out her phone and started recording. Maya lay pinned against the police cruiser, unable to move, her face pressed sideways against metal that burned her skin. The handcuffs were adult-sized, loose enough that they bit into the small bones of her wrists with every movement. She cried in gulping sobs, asking for her mother over and over. But Hutchkins ignored her. He was speaking into his radio, his voice official and clipped, describing the situation as though he had just apprehended a dangerous suspect. "Subject detained on Maple Avenue, possible connection to recent burglaries, displaying erratic behavior." Maya heard these words and couldn't understand them. She didn't know what erratic meant. She didn't know there were burglaries. She only knew that her face hurt, her wrists hurt, and she wanted her mother. More neighbors emerged from their homes, drawn by the sound of Maya crying. Patricia Chen continued recording, her phone held high to capture everything. Thomas Whitmore, a retired lawyer who lived 4 houses down, walked quickly across his lawn. He was 73, white-haired, and had practiced civil rights law for 40 years before retiring. He saw the scene and felt his stomach turn. "Officer," he called out, "what has this child done?" Hutchkins turned, his face flushed. "This doesn't concern you, sir. Back away." Thomas kept walking. "I'm asking you your badge number, officer. I have every right to observe." "Badge number 743, Hutchkins said, his jaw tight. "Now step away from my scene." Patricia Chen called out from her porch. "She's 8 years old. Why is she in handcuffs?" Hutchkins's head swiveled toward her. "Ma'am, unless you want to join her, I suggest you go inside." More neighbors gathered. Some pulled out phones, recording. Others stood with arms crossed, watching. The crowd divided along invisible lines. Some trusted the badge, assumed the officer knew something they didn't. Others saw only a child being brutalized and felt mounting horror. Maya heard the voices around her, heard people arguing, but couldn't lift her head to see. The pressure of Hutchins's hand between her shoulders kept her immobile. Please, please, I didn't do anything. Hutchins finally hauled her upright and walked her to the back of his cruiser. He opened the door and placed her inside, without a car seat, without adjusting the handcuffs, without any acknowledgement that she was a child. Maya curled into the corner of the seat, her hands trapped behind her back, her shoulders screaming from the unnatural position. Through the window, she could see her robotics trophy lying on the sidewalk where she had dropped her backpack. The golden figure seemed to stare at her. 12 miles away, Victoria Richardson sat in the White House Situation Room. The briefing had extended longer than scheduled, covering contingency plans for various security scenarios at the upcoming summit. Victoria's phone sat